gotta tell you, there is a reason that the Tilly and the Buttons Coco pattern is a favorite among sewists of all levels. Hey everybody, it's me, Margaret. I am here with a sewing video because I need to sheepishly share with you my discoveries, things that I have learned by sewing the Coco pattern. First of all, I cannot stress enough how much I loved this pattern for all kinds of different reasons, but let's talk about that. Now, first off, here's the pattern, and I think we all know that we absolutely love the way Tilly packages her patterns, and I do believe this is available for a PDF download, but I wanted it, I just wanted to see the actual pattern first before I started with the PDFs. You can see that it comes in the different options here, from a little boat neck type style, little scoop neck. The funnel neck is the one that I chose to make, but you'll see that there isn't a sleeveless option. Now, I made the dress, not a shirt, and I got the idea for the sleeveless option from a YouTuber called Lizzie B, who is absolutely the cutest thing. She is so beautiful and has such good taste. She's a new sewist, I guess I should say, because I hate the way you spell sewer, like sewer. Anyway, Lizzie did this very thing. She made a dress, made it sleeveless, put the funnel neck. I loved it on her. Now, there is one thing that I did differently that I really kind of wish I had done as she did, and that is that this dress is an A-line by design. I just fiddled with the camera, and it's hard to get all of us in the shot and see things clearly, so I'm going to insert a picture of me wearing this dress for the first time. Now, this was on our Disney cruise, and I was so incredibly comfortable in this dress, perfect for cruising. But notice that it has an A-line skirt, and I usually wear straight skirts. I'm kind of sensitive to A-line as to making me look heavier on the bottom end. As it turns out, it's not that I dislike this actually, but I think I would prefer with my regular style to keep it with a slimmer profile. I'm not sure. I'm trying to branch out, think differently, but just that is my normal style. Now, Tilly designed this to be an A-line, so if I wanted to do that in the future, I'm going to have to hack that by simply narrowing down the skirt, which is not that big of a deal in the least. Now, I loved the funnel neck. As I'm aging, I'm developing this turkey neck, and I really kind of like things that are up here camouflaging what's going on. It's not tight like a turtleneck, but I just liked the way it looked. I liked the way it felt. I loved everything about it. The fabric that I used was a cotton stretch that I had in my stash for years. Now, it feels like a really good quality t-shirt. Maybe like the beefy tees they used to have, or well, whatever. Just picture a really great quality t-shirt. But it is very cottony, and in this navy blue, which I probably wouldn't have chosen, but I wanted this to be a wearable toile. At least I was hoping it was going to be wearable. And it was. And so I said, hey, I've got this. Let me try it. If I totally screw it up, it won't be the end of the world. So I loved it, but it does pick up every tiny little bit of fuzz. Having a dog and 2 cats, I keep lint rollers everywhere, even one in my car, so I can make sure that I am not carrying with me memories of my pets. Now, I have had a lot of bad luck trying to sew knits in the past, and the reason why is because I didn't know the tricks. And just like anything in this world, if you have the right tools and you know the tricks to making things look better or whatever, the job becomes easier. And I learned it through here. Now, for me, one of the things that I did that made a huge difference was that I lowered the tension of my feed dogs. I have 3 options, and I put it on the lightest. Now, my previous sewing machine didn't have this option, so I know that not all sewing machines do. But I found that it works best on everything now if I drop those down. And you'll know what I'm talking about if you've ever been sewing along and that top layer scooches forward. Like you have it pinned perfectly, and then you can see as you're approaching the next pin that it's just scooching up, and you know, it'll make a tuck if you don't quickly remove that pin. And You know, that's frustrating. Well, that alleviated a lot of that even sewing with wovens for me, so that was great. But it will do it even so on knits. Some sewing machines will. Now when I watch sewing videos on YouTube, and I'm watching people on some really high quality machines, so they probably don't have these same issues. So I'll notice that they don't have a walking foot on their machine to sew knits. Once upon a time I'd say, well, they can do it, why can't I? Well, different reasons. You know, a different machine is probably one thing, or even different knits probably respond differently. So I put my walking foot on, had that pressure on the am I even calling this the right thing? You know where the feed dog pressure, isn't that right? Okay, well anyhow, when I lessened that and put the walking foot on, no problem. My machine thought sewing on knits was great, and that I will remember for the rest of my life. How's that for a little drama? Now I'm bringing Matilda a little closer so you can see this. This is another thing. Now Tilly tells you this in the instructions, but do you see this ribbon that I have sewn alongside the shoulder seam right here? There are numerous things that we are told this day and age to do to stabilize the shoulders. There are special seam stabilizer tapes that you can purchase, but you can also use good old ribbon, just plain cheap ribbon, and that's exactly what I did here. Now, there's another YouTuber called Professor Pincushion that does a lot of great tutorials, and that's where I learned that any old ribbon will do. So now, when I buy things from the store that may be wrapped in such a way that has a grosgrain ribbon, I'm keeping that ribbon because I can easily use little pieces of it to stabilize shoulders and knits. And who doesn't like free sewing supplies, right? Now I sewed most of this dress with the stretch stitch on my machine. That was something new. I've had all these fancy stitches on here, but I didn't know what everyone was actually for. It says stretch stitch when you look in the book, but I'm thinking, okay, so is a zigzag, so what's the deal? Well, the stretch stitch is it's more narrow, so you're getting something. It's not taking up as much space, so when you need to press open your seams, it's a little bit easier to do. So at least that's my take on it, or what I noticed. So I did sew the majority of the dress with the stretch stitch. I think you can see it right here. Now, when you attach the collar here, this funnel neck, Tilly tells you to do a regular zigzag, and that is what I did right here, and I think you can see that from this point. And it did just kind of, it was wider, so it just kind of made everything lie down properly underneath there. So I would recommend doing that, unless of course you have a serger. Now if you have a serger, that changes the game, but I don't have one and I can't see buying one anytime soon, so I'm just going to have to develop my skills sewing on knits with a regular machine. Now, while I didn't use a twin needle to hem this dress, the reason why I didn't was because I was learning so many new skills and everything that I thought, oh, I'm scared to add one more on here. So I just did a regular stretch stitch on the hem, and it's fine. But later I did this. This is a pattern called Seemingly Smitten Baseball Top. It's a raglan sleeve baseball shirt, and very comfortable. And this is, I did a passable job on this. I wore it just the other day, as a matter of fact, to work at the church. We're putting on this big garage sale. You know, people bring this stuff in and you have to sort and price and all that. So yeah, I wore it. So I could actually wear it out of the house without being too embarrassed. But there's a few issues. Twin stitching is actually one of them. Now I learned that the reason it looks so puckered, well, first of all, I didn't get close enough to my neckband there, did I? But that's to be something I'll learn on my next one. I'll fix on my next one. But do you see how it puckered? Can you see how it's like really raised? That I've learned is that my tension is too tight on there. And I will tell you, I'm having some tension issues on my sewing machine. I think it's time for my sewing machine to go in for a checkup. But, or I may just be ignorant and not doing something right. I don't know. But then again, my poor machine hasn't had a checkup ever in its life. And now I'm sewing more on it than normal, so it's probably time for me to take that in. So I'll keep you posted on that. But anyway, I think a twin needle would be something that would sort of enhance this. I would like the hem to just look a little bit more like it was store-bought. Now, obviously, I'm going to be using this pattern again. It is absolutely one of my favorites. So easy, so quick. It was a skill builder for me, and can continue to be a skill builder because I have certainly not mastered knits, and I don't know if I will ever be able to master knits, but it's much more fun to work on now that I have found success. Oh, one other thing that I need to mention is that I have discovered in reading all my fitting information that I've been studying that I have to do a forward shoulder adjustment. You'll notice when I wear t-shirts that my t-shirts look like they're choking me to death, and that's because my shoulders tend to come, the seams fall backwards. I did not find this to be the case in this dress for some reason. I don't know why, and I did not do any forward shoulder adjustments on it. However, one thing I did do was shorten it, and the way I did that was merely folded it up. I didn't want to cut or slash my pattern. I don't know why, but I can't stand to make too many alterations on the original pattern, and I didn't feel like tracing. So what I did was just kind of folded it up, and you can see here how I folded the end in where I would normally have, you know, trimmed it so that the seam would flow into the new location right here. So I have to shorten almost everything, being 5'2". So what's next, you may ask? Well, I have more of this blue fabric. I don't know how much I had to start with, but I have more. So I want to try something different, and I think this time I will do a long-sleeved version, because on Tilly's blog she has a hack to make a two-toned one. I love the striped version that she did, but I was a little bit chicken to do stripes for a couple of reasons, actually. One, because it was difficult for me to find a stripe in this weight. It was very, this is heavy. This is a heavyweight cotton, and I found this red that is pretty much the same. Can you hear my stomach growling? My microphone is so close to my stomach, I'm paranoid you can hear it. It's lunchtime and I need to stop talking and go eat. But anyhow, what I want to do is do that hack pattern. I'm not exactly sure which color will be on top. I would like for the red to be on top and then the blue to be on the bottom. But I don't know. We'll have to see how much I have left. And while I don't have the fabric for a top, I can see myself wanting a funnel neck top. It would be almost like wearing a sweatshirt, you know, and put on it with some cute pants. You can get away with a real outfit, not like a sweatshirt lounging clothes. So I really think it's adorable. So yes, Tilly and the Buttons Coco pattern, high on my list of favorites, just like everybody else I've heard. Thanks for watching. Talk soon. Bye.